motivation and the fire was there, man. It was like, I still just, I had the anger and frustration from childhood. Okay, I was a scrawny kid, so I said, let me start training like a bodybuilder. And I started getting into the heavy lifting, and I started lifting at American Eagle Gym with all the monsters, man. I wanted to quit so many times, and the life has a bigger purpose than just ourselves. We all got a story, we all got a life that we could hopefully impact it for the positive.
Known as Mariano Big Dawg Mendoza.
Hello you guys, this is Mariano Big Dawg, aka the one-man war Big Dawg, the original OG, the original Big Dawg, straight from Compton. Actually, I lived in Compton, but I was born in LA General Hospital. I could remember from around 6, 7 years old. I remember bits and pieces. My mom said we grew up in Compton. My grandmother lived in Compton. I remember we lived in a street called Bul. She went to this elementary school called Bunch Elementary, or middle school. And basically, that's all I remember about Compton. But I remember all my aunts and cousins, they were all from the gang of Compton, Tortilla Flats, all these. I was like, oh, well, I don't know what a gang was. I was a wannabe gang guy. I did get jumped in the gang actually one time when I was 7 years old in Paramount. Wow. That was my only experience, and I'm not going to exaggerate and say, oh man, I grew up from this neighborhood and I got jumped in and I was a badass killer. No, I got beat up for 16 seconds by 7 or 8 youngsters. They were like, I think I was around 9 years old. And I was in Paramount. I did get beat up, and then after I was bleeding a little bit, I went to go hug all my homies, and I guess they call it like the Pee-wees because we were youngsters, but yeah, we were stupid, That's what I thought it was. These are my buddies, and thank God I think I only lasted like 3 months because we moved out of that neighborhood. So that was my story. And then around 9 years old, actually, that's when I went into foster homes. So it all started around that time, just because my stepfather pretty much beat the shit out of me, hated me. I was he had 3 kids with my mom, and my mom, I had 2 brothers, a brother and a sister, so there was 6 of us. I was the oldest, and of course, I was hated the most for some reason. My stepfather actually was he was an alcoholic. He was really abusive, and I'm the one that got the ass beating all the time. It was, still to this day, thank God I got some counseling, but I have PTSD and memories and bad nightmares about it sometimes. And then my mom, she had a rough too, and I finally found this out, 30 years later. My mom, me and her, we built a relationship. Once she lost her husband, I think it's been about 12 years ago, she started thinking and changing, and he was like the God figure in her life because he provided for her. My mom never really worked. And then I got counseling. I was a veteran. I served 2 branches of the military. That is what really changed my life. Right after high school, my foster dad, he was a World War II veteran. He fought at Iwo Jima in Japan. War hero. He showed me all these battle pictures, and I was like, wow, man. I want to be like my stepfather. So my foster parents were the motivating factor of me trying to build up in my foster dad and parents. They said, Mariano, you can do anything you want. You can be what you want. You just got to just focus and put in hard work. And, I learned with them. I had to work. I had to do my chores. I didn't learn that obviously, you know. So 9 years in foster homes, McLaren Hall, and boys homes. And I'll explain what all those are because they're all different and they're horrible places to be at. My social worker, and we had counseling while I was in the foster homes, boys homes, McLaren Hall. They said, do you want to go back? No. So my other brothers and sisters, they went back a couple years later. I said, no, I don't, because I know, for all I know, he might kill me. It was, all he had to do is, it was not impossible. Let's just say that. It all started here in Norwalk, actually, with a karate studio down the street over on Pioneer Boulevard. My instructor was Richard Rainwater. He was a kung fu karate instructor. That was the first martial arts that I actually learned. And I actually started getting pretty good, and I had long legs, so I had a little bit of, that was what you want in martial arts, was long legs. So, you know, my kicking was really good, and I got into more of the hand stuff. And I did my first karate tournament at the Long Beach Internationals in Long Beach. That was the world famous karate tournament that everybody remembered, that Bruce Lee did the 1-inch punch in, and that was with Ed Parker. Ed Parker was that was the biggest international karate tournament in the world in Long Beach. So people got ready once a year from all around the world. They'd come. So I was getting ready for a kumite. It's like a sparring, but it's a point sparring. So it's basically how fast you can hit a certain part of the body, and there's certain circles. So I did my first tournament, and I did pretty good. I got second place. So that was like pretty good for my first time ever. And I was like surprised. I did my first, it was a muscular dystrophy karate kumite tournament in Norwalk also. And that was at the auditorium of Excelsior High School. That was my very first time into any martial arts. And I just knew that, my kicks were incredible. I had really quick, good kicks. And my karate instructor didn't even tell me, but after I think 4 or 5 months I was training, and he had me spar against, so I'm going to have you spar against this guy. And I'm like, oh man. And he told me this guy's a black belt. So I was kind of nervous, and I was like, wow, I'm sparring with a black belt. I go, that's kind of scary. And I was barely starting off. I was probably a white belt or the next belt above that. And every martial arts has different colors. So I was like, I actually went in there, and I got a little nervous, but after a while, my confidence was really good, and I actually almost beat the black belt. I almost beat him, and that was when I said, all right, this is fun. And before that, I was at another gym in Long Beach called the Long Beach Kickboxing with an instructor named Ombre, and I was Muay Thai. Now, Muay Thai is a different type of martial arts. It's elbows and knees, and it's the Thailand type of martial arts. And that's more, it's more intense. Out of all the stand-up martial artists, that one's the most brutal. And so I was training there on and off for a couple of years. I was at Muay Thai Academy in North Hollywood. I was just gym hopping, going all the way around. And I stuck at LA Boxing for a while because that's where I was living. I was in the Navy first. I actually, it's kind of weird. I was in ROTC. I don't know if you remember what that was, but in high school they had they used to call us the nerds. Oh, look at the nerds. You know, we used to dress up on Fridays with our uniform and salute and branch. And actually, I was the platoon leader. I did some parades. So I was like, all right, this is cool. I did the Navy ROTC, the Army ROTC. I went to 3 different high schools, and I said, I enlisted somehow before I graduated high school, which is really what was a program called the Delayed Entry Program. So officially I was in the Navy, registered, and I went to boot camp right after I graduated. Literally like the next day or the day after, I was in boot camp in San Diego. I did that. It didn't go too well. I got sick, got some PTSD, some stuff like that. I was in the Panama conflict. It wasn't a war, but it was a conflict with Noriega, if people remember that. I got out, went to Cerritos College, and then a couple years later I said, you know what, let me join the Army. And I joined the Army, and I did both boot camps, and I did 2 branches of the military, which not too many people do. So I was that motivated. I was a platoon leader. I did my training at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. You know, I was an E4, which is a pretty good rank. You know, it's not. I wasn't high ranking, but you know, considering that I was a total of 6 years in the Army, National Guard Reserve, and about 2 years in the Navy. God put me in those situations. He blessed me, put me around the best people, because in order to be the best in the world, you have to train with the best. You have to be with the best. And that's what I did. I trained with some of the best guys in the world, world champion to this day. I was one of the biggest roid dealers in LA at one time for a couple of years. And of course I got busted. I was on probation for that. And I want to tell all you guys, especially you young kids out there that are in sports, it doesn't pay off to go and get in that shit and cheat. I'm still paying the price for some of that. I had surgeries on my knee, and basically the muscle gets strong and big, but the tendons are not strong and big. So you tear tendons, you tear muscles, and
Is this from steroids?
Steroids, not warming up enough, not training the tendons, not training correctly. But here's the thing I tell people: steroids help build muscle. They help with strength and technique, strength and all those things. But remember this: you could take all the steroids in the world, but if you don't put in the time and you don't eat right and you just bullshit around and just take roids, you're not gonna get no results. Now the thing is, if you train and you're dedicated and disciplined like I was, then you're going to get good results. And the only reason why I got into it was because, okay, you know what? I started competing. I'm like, shit, man, I'm getting my ass kicked. Why am I coming in last? And that kind of sucked. And they didn't even call your name. There was like 10 guys, and like, all right, see you next time. And then within a year, I started competing, started winning. I won Muscle Beach, all these other competitions. And then I felt like I was a guinea pig. Mariano, try this and try that.
Really? They told you to try it?
Oh yeah, they say mix it all up, and you know, a lot of bodybuilders, they do anything, and I mean anything. And I'll tell you, I'm just so blessed and thankful that I stopped. I stopped because I seen some of these guys heart attacks and weird stuff. I have Arnold. He had some stuff going on. Lou Ferrigno, Van Damme. Many celebrities that you see out there, you know, if you're like in your 19s, 18, 19, 20, that's probably a lot of that's natural, but you can tell when somebody's in the juice. Most of the time, you'll see big upper bodies and chicken legs. So when Muscle Beast, it was really popular because it's like, man, this guy's jacked, big arms, big shoulders. But you know, my legs are pretty good right now, and that's like, you know, like I said, the only thing I do take on and off is testosterone replacement, but I don't take it as to get bigger or stronger. I use it to maintain. After you get over 40, the doctor said, you know what, if you can afford it, you can do it, it can help you. That's the only thing I take on and off. But other than that, I don't take any of the other stuff, especially the pills. They're really bad for you. The HGH is actually pretty good. A lot of celebrities take that because it's not a steroid, but it's a growth hormone that basically you don't even have to work out and you'll get a six-pack. So I don't want to say names, but there's a lot of actors out there take their shirt off and like, man, how did you get those abs? The guy's 40 years old and he looked like a slob a year ago. Now he's got a six-pack. There you go. You know, if somebody gets a six-pack and looks in great shape and they're over 40, they're probably using something. And I'm just telling you straight out, you know, I used this shit, I competed, but here's the thing, I did something with it. There's a lot of guys that are on the juice, they don't do shit with it. It's just look at me, look at the girls, they want to see the hard rock body, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what is that doing for you? And that's where I got into fighting. So I said, I'm making money. My first fight, I got $3,000 to fight Francisco Bueno. It was a world championship, and now that paid. So yeah, I started at the Eagle Gym, and this was one of them places that you call like a powerhouse. You know how they have a gym called Powerhouse? This is a true powerhouse. This is like a true, you know, bodybuilders, power lifters, and not just regular power lifters. I mean, these guys were like strong power lifters, world class. And I would come in there, and I see guys working out with like 3 plates, 4 plates, warming up with that. And then working their way up to like 6 and 7 plates on each side. And CT was my role model. That's the guy who I had looked up to. CT Fletcher, he was Mr. Inglewood into bodybuilding back in the days. I did it 2 or 3 years, and I got as big as I can get naturally. And I said, what are these guys doing, man? They're big guys lifting some heavy weight. And, you know, it took me, first I started off with 225, 240, 300, 340. And then I'm like, wow, I got stuck about the 340 mark. And then I started lifting with these guys. And CT and those guys, come on! I mean, it was like, you'd see weightlifting, chalk powder everywhere. Guys with their lifting suits on with the belts. This is back then when they used belts in weightlifting suits. And these guys were serious. And they'd be yelling and slapping each other in the face. And I was like, oh shit, this is really cool, man. I like this. And they started a thing called the strict curl. And that started a little small thing in Venice, started here. Actually, here in American Eagle Gym, there was a couple of competitions, and I broke one of my world records here, a 3-year period. I competed for about 2 or 3 years. I finally came to the point where I was one of the top lifters in the world. Now, the World Powerlifting Strict Curl Association was started here, and the competitions were officially started at Venice Beach. I think 225, and I got the second heaviest lift at 218, 220. I got 2 different records.
Mariano Mendoza. Woo!
He is the first heavyweight Mexican to fight pro world cage fighter for a heavyweight belt. One of the greatest MMA boxers, kickboxers, actors of all time.
I was way back when, and we were neighbors, and that's my stepfather's family. But yeah, this whole house, they must have shrunk it down or something. It used to be whiter, the property. But yeah, man, this is where I probably remember most of my childhood. A lot of it here in the one-ways on Cheshire. It was just, I remember I graduated John Glenn from here, and I was like semi better than where I was over in Paramount. Paramount was the worst. Compton, all that stuff. Right here was pretty bad too. But that used to be a flat roof house, so they remodeled the whole house. But it was all jacked up. And my uncle lived over here too with us. I remember he tried to kill himself, stabbed himself with a kitchen knife. And yeah, it's just, you know, the memories is not 100%, but I just remember this is a big part of where I kind of changed my life. To me, I think it's official. You know, I'm one of the strongest, you know, most athletic athletes, actors, Hispanic athletes that's well-rounded. I mean, I was competing with the best fighters in the world. In MMA, I was competing with the best weightlifters in the world.
He is considered the Hispanic version of Debo, Van Damme, martial artist and thug. He is the first Hispanic heavyweight cage fighter to fight in the WVC in Brazil and Jamaica. He is known as OLEG in the video game Saint Row 3. He has numerous world record titles such as Muscle Beat Strongman 1995 and 96, and he has the world record at 220 pounds with the strict curled, and it is undefeated to this day.
I was training with a couple of trainers at Gold's Gym, and then I was training actually with some of the other trainers that have worked with Frank Shamrock and Chuck Liddell, and I was working on my ground game, I was working on my wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and basically, Mariano, we got an opportunity for you. You want to fight for, it was called the super fight. Basically, the super fight is like the big muscular guys, the heavyweights, the main event. I was the main event. I was like, wow. So what happened was Francisco Bueno, you guys can look this up, he couldn't find an opponent to fight him. So Federico La Panda, who's he's a big movie producer, by the way, if you guys don't know. If you remember the movie Apocalypse Now, those military movies, what are those, the old ones, the badass movies, he was involved with producing that. He was one of the producers involved with Thriller in Manila with Muhammad Ali. So I fought for this guy. This guy was a big promoter. He worked with, I can't remember the names, but just look it up, World Vale Tudo, Super Fight 2001, 2002. I had 3 super fights, and when I got in there, it was like crazy. I mean, you're fighting in Brazil. And here's the scary thing. When you're going and you're fighting there, at that moment, a couple of years ago, somebody died in the cage fight. There was a couple of deaths that happened, and that's because the referee didn't really, there was a lot of blood and guts. When I went to go fight, I seen someone's tooth there, I seen some blood here, I even seen piece of the skin over here, and that's the way it was. It was Vale Tudo, which in Portuguese means anything goes. So bare knuckles, no, you can kick to the balls, you can step on the toes, toe stomping, you can headbutt right here, the headbutt. So it was really no rules. The only thing you couldn't do was call a fish hook on the eyes or the mouth. During that, those kind of things were not allowed. But it was basically, it was hardcore. I don't want to say street fighting because you had to know how to punch, you had to know how to kick, you had to know these techniques, but not like it is now.
Yeah.
So,
is it more dangerous now?
You know what? It's safer now, but it takes a lot more work now. You have to have a lot more technique, more money, but just remember, it's also harder to get into the UFC. It's harder to get in some of these organizations. Bellator, you know, Bellator is like the sister of UFC. I was at the right time at the right place, and my first fight in Vale Tudo, it was in cable, it was televised, I was famous over there. Mariano Big Dawg, and then when they saw me, if you listen to some of the comments, Mariano Big Dawg Mendoza, where the Crips and the Bloods fear him. And I was like, when I heard that, I was like, and I told the commentator, I go, bro, why did you have to say that? they could just go out there and shoot me, man. But that was kind of cool because I was Mad Dog Mendoza, Big Dog, Mad Dog. That was my thing, and I was the biggest heavyweight to fight in Brazil in that organization. I was 270 pounds, jacked. I looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I could kick like Van Damme. I can kick like who else? Chuck Norris or Dolph Lundgren. I was fast. I was doing double kicks in the air, 5 feet up, at 270 pounds. My pictures, go to my Facebook. Back then, the internet was not big. I hate to say it, but if I would have had all that stuff on YouTube, and I would be viral, I guarantee you.
Fucking pigs.
Relax. Think about it. If we smoke this little punk, shit's gonna hit the fan, homie. Better to keep Manny in the pocket, you know what I'm saying? I got a plan, homie. I got a plan. Let's go.
From the ghetto bird, if you ain't a man of your word, then you'll never be heard. It takes hard work, confidence, determination, validation to knock your enemies right out of the competition. And there's a chip in the
Ryan Combs, he owns a company called Ironhawk Production. He basically he had a deal with Lionsgate. I don't know if you guys know, Lionsgate is pretty well known. So he was one of the first guys that actually, he got a contract with Lionsgate, say, you know what, here's some money, make us 3 movies a year. And I didn't really know that Lionsgate had did that, but he was one of the, I want to say, pioneers. I call myself a pioneer of a lot of things, you know, of bodybuilding, Latinos and this, and Latinos fighters, Latino weightlifters, Latino thugs. And so I did my first movie called Gangster Party. And it's funny because I had a speaking role, and it was in Spanish, and I still remember the line, Señora del Gato, ¿gusta algo más? Señora del Gato, ¿gusta algo más? And I was like, would you like something else? And I was a hitman, and this lady's in the jacuzzi, and I try to kill her with the rope, and her bodyguard, she has a lady bodyguard, basically shoots me, and she comes up with a pair of scissors, says he's going to cut his balls off. I'm like, oh man. And when she says, I'm going to cut his balls off, and I'm dead, and I'm like, Mariano, you're not supposed to laugh, you're dead. So I was like, that was my cut. Like, I'm going to cut his balls off with this. It was funny, she had the scissors, and like, I'm dead. No, come on, you got to play a better dead than that, bro. So I was, hey, first time, but it was a speaking role, and then I did Gangster Party, and I was the one with Corrupt. I actually break Corrupt's leg. I break his neck. The movie was called Accidentally Domed Your Son, and then domed is a ghetto name for like killed. I domed your son. And so, and Ryan had got me in that movie, and I did another one called Crooked Cops. I was doing something there, and I didn't really want to be an actor. I'd be on, I just, this is cool, man, this is cool. And then, yeah, exactly. And I think that's why I got the opportunity. I was like 2 years, didn't have no agent. Central Casting was like, they were my buddies. And I tell everybody my 3, I don't want to say rags to riches, but my story about Central Casting. 3 times. One time, background, I got upgraded to a speaking role. Wow. Okay, that was, I can't remember what movie that was. I didn't get the upgrade on the play rate, but I got upgraded to a speaking role. The other time, I did a stunt. I got upgraded to a stunt from background. And guess who gave me that part and told me I did a great job? That famous director, Oliver Stone, said, "Dude, you're gonna be somebody. From a background guy." He goes, "I want you to chop people up, blah blah blah." You can see me in the movie. I'm the guy torturing Damien Bichir. Benicios, yeah, I was his one of his main henchmen. And he was, I was like, wow, this is Benicio, man. We were in San Pedro filming, and we were supposed to be in Mexico, and we were in this rundown hotel. And it was like, oh, wow, this is crazy. And so Central Casting, nothing but good things. And then I got this thing called upgrade and specialty parts. I don't know if you know what that is, but that's like, you're not just a background, but you're a specialty. Where you're basically better than background.
Wow.
You're like,
so you actually get to talk a little bit.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Or you get the oh. And technically, those aren't words. So, boy, you're gonna laugh at this. I registered with LA Casting as a non-rep.
Wow.
And it was what? LA Casting? I thought you had to pay. I go, you have to pay for it, but you tell them that you're looking for a rep.
Right.
And it's funny, I had 5 agents that wanted to represent me.
That's amazing.
One of them I didn't do too well, but there was one over there by Universal Studios. What's that one street right there, right behind? They're kind of big. They're not, but they're well known. They're a well-known agency. I had 3 agents representing me, and how do you do that? I go, well, I kind of like lied. I said, no, I don't have representation across the board.
Right.
No, this is commercial, it's theatrical. Oh, but this one represents me stunts, and this one represents me for voiceover. Oh, this one represents me for print work, and so I bullshitted my I got in trouble a couple of times because they both double booked me. And then I got 2 managers. So right now I got 2 agents and 2 managers. I used to have 5 altogether.
Nice.
And people say, wow, Mariano, why?
Is it good to have a lot of agencies? Or
I
know you want to get a primary agent, but I mean,
people do want to get a primary agent. And I tell people, hey, if you can get a great primary agent, go for it.
Right.
But here's the thing. Just remember, you're putting all your eggs in one basket. And I got discouraged and I started missing some of the too many auditions, and it kind of sucked. They actually got me some good jobs towards the end, but they represent professional athletes.
wow.
Yeah, they represent WWE superstars. They represented Hulk Hogan at one time. They represented I think John Cena. They represented Lou Ferrigno. But they do the voiceover and professional athletes. Since I was a professional fighter and I got paid for it, that makes you professional. Amateur, it's nice, but when you say professional, and then I fought for titles. I fought for belts. If you see my pictures, you see the belt. I basically fought for belts. So when you're fighting for belts, that gives you more credibility as you are a professional who fought for 3 world title belts. Persistency, dedication. I went one time, I'm not exaggerating, 10 auditions, didn't get shit. I'm like, oh, I hate this. And I'm talking, I spend parking, gas, driving. Let's say I spend, $180. Okay, it doesn't seem like a lot, but when you keep on doing that and doing it, it's like, okay, when is something going to come through? And then when you least expect it, if you stick it out that little extra, stick it out, that 7th audition, okay, learn from it. One of my acting coaches says, an audition, look at it as not only training, but look at it as like, you're getting an opportunity for that job. You're getting the interview. And if you're getting the audition, that means they like you. And then if you get a callback, that means they really like you. And you're like, and I got on veils, and most of the time the veils I get, and then sometimes, they change. And one thing I learned from my acting coach, she goes, Mariano, at this level, you've been at this, 9 years, 10 years. You got a great resume. You got almost 90 credits in IMDb, which is 90? Almost 90, which is more than most actors have in 8 years. And I was just like, you know what, I just keep on pounding, man, and I love it. And that's the thing, if you don't love it, you don't have that passion, and you're just doing it just for fame. And I remember there's a guy in the Pirates show, the black guy that walked in the water. I worked with him in Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah. And he goes, man, everybody knows me from that. He goes, but you know what? I don't want to be that famous actor from that. I want to be the working actor. This woman changed my life. We met at a nightclub of all places. And I was like, usually people that meet people at nightclubs, I don't know how it works out, but regardless of that, it was, we met at this club. We were friends, and going on 7 years we've known each other. And she's changed my life, changed my way of thinking. She's smart, she's intelligent, great personality. And they say behind every strong man is a strong woman. And I had to say this, the thing is if without the strong woman, you won't have a strong man. In relationships, I tell everybody, anybody can have a relationship, but it's keeping it, maintaining it, and learning to love each other unconditional, taking each other's faults. And when you learn to not make it just about you, and you make it about them and you work together, it works out, man. So it's been an incredible journey, and you know, I just tell people it's this understanding, forgiving each other, working with each other. You know, nobody has it perfect, but it's been an incredible challenge. She's a speech therapist, and my stepdaughter's awesome, Ashley. And I actually have a daughter too, who's 21 years old, Violetta. She's my only daughter, and she's graduating from Humboldt State University. That's what's my focus right now. And you always got to have something bigger than just yourself, because if not, what is yourself going to do with yourself? But you have somebody else to love, you got something to work with. My hope is that my story, my untold story, will change lives, will give hope to the hopeless, to the underdogs out there, to the people that people have told them, you know what, don't do it, you won't make it, you know what, just don't listen to it. Say, you know, all things are possible. All things are possible. All things are possible with God. And more importantly is you gotta, I just hope that it inspires, changes, never quit. Start where you finish. It's really important. Even if it takes you a while to finish it, start where you finish. And don't take no for an answer. And don't listen to haters. If you have haters, you know, you're doing something right. You know, look up, be around people that are positive, find a higher power, just believe, trust, and do. Be a doer. I always say actions speak louder than words, but follow the actions with the words. And you know, you can't do it by yourself. It takes a village, but just have a couple of friends, a couple of people that believe in you. And I just think that my story will inspire, and like I said, anything is possible, no matter where you come from in life. You know, you had a rough life, you had an easy life. Focus on what you want to do, and you know, don't make excuses. Keep on fighting. If you fall down, get back up. Fall down one time, 2 times, 3 times, get back up, man, and move forward. And like I said, don't be discouraged, even if people say, oh, that was all right. This is from a world champion athlete, from a world champion fighter. Never quit. Never quit, because if you can quit for circumstances and situations and injuries, but if you try 110%, I guarantee you're going to be happy. I guarantee you're going to see some success. If you get, you know, go to 10 auditions, oh man, nothing's going on, I'm discouraged. Just work on your craft. You might get knocked down, but you're not knocked out. And you know, give hope and encourage those. You know, when you help others and you give, and you don't think about yourself, you'll be blessed, because things will come naturally to you, because you know, you're not being selfish all the time, and at the same time you do want to succeed so you can be a blessing to others. If you succeed, all the people around you, hopefully you help them. And that's what I've always done. You know, help a hand, give a hand, lift them up, encourage them, help them out, give them a little, if they need financial help, do what you can. You know, words and actions are powerful. And I just wish everybody will appreciate this video. And like I said, you need a team to create things, to make things happen. I can't, it's not all, it's the story, this story is not about me. It's about you guys. and what you can do, and faith in yourself and faith in your higher power. Keep up in the fight. Stay in the fight no matter what.
So who wants it with this one-man war? 6'2", pushing 500, need I say more? Raising watts and no walk with a one-ways play. Strain these lonely abs with a pit bull stay. Gunning them and running them, in for your neck. Mariano Sopero Grande, give them man some respect. Taking trips all across the globe. Chris Mexicano divided the championship show. Well known as the Mexican Debo, call him a freak show. It's more to the hero, came a long way from the ghetto bird. If you ain't a man of your word, then you'll never be heard. It takes hard work, confidence, determination, validation to knock your enemies right out of the competition. And there's a chip in the shoulder, call him the Don. Take a look at his life, MarianoMendoza.com. Who wanna with the one-man war? Who wanna with the one-man war? Who wanna with the one-man war? Coming from California, coming from California. Who wanna with the one-man war? Who wanna with the one-man war? Who wanna with the one-man war? Coming from California, coming from California.